Good afternoon, I'm Giovanni Dennis with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're joining us online at onespotmedia.com. 3 men were killed by the police in St. Elizabeth and another is on the run. The incident followed an alleged shootout in Westmoreland last night. The police are yet to release the identities of the men. Another man was also captured in bushes this morning. O'Shane Masters has the details.
Do nothing more than that, you just lay down and clean up yourself.
The voice of an elderly woman speaking to our news team following the shootout between gunmen and police after the curfew last night in Westmoreland. It's reported that sometime around 11 o'clock, the police were on patrol in Kilmarnock when they signaled a car to stop. The driver disobeyed and sped off. This led to a high-speed chase which ended in a shootout.
It's reported that 3 persons received injuries and were taken to hospital where they were pronounced dead. A third person who escaped from the car, we understand, was held and handed over to the police.
The police say a firearm and 5 rounds of ammunition were seized. The car driven by the men was reported stolen in Westmoreland. One resident who wished not to be identified spoke to our news team.
I know gunshot me here, man. So I must shoot out or something. You can't tell if who shoot. You have to call in my house, me just listen to what I go on. But me really hear when the police there, so one of them I get with them, see my run and go down through the bush there. You understand? And me hear gunshot start rain again.
In the meantime, head of the corporate communication unit at the JCF, Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay, says one of the men so far has been identified.
What they knew about that individual was that it was just yesterday he was actually released from custody, being granted bail. He's from, I think, a Spanish Town address.
She added that the Westmoreland police are investigating the matter. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Delton Knight, the businessman accused of the murder of his son, was remanded when his case was mentioned before the gun court section of the St. Andrew Parish Court this morning. He is to return on April 28 when the court will hold a bail hearing. The 64-year-old operator of Knight's Meat and Food Distribution Limited in Papine, St. Andrew, was charged last weekend with the murder of 38-year-old Ruel Knight. Investigators reported that on April 12, Mr. Knight and his son had a dispute at the establishment when the shooting took place. Ruel Knight was pronounced dead at hospital. And a robber was attacked by citizens of Port Antonio, Portland, after almost getting away with $1 million in cash on Wednesday, Codian Barrett reports.
Around 1:30 p.m., a businesswoman was on her way by foot on Blake Street to make a lodgement when, it is alleged, this man grabbed her bag. The woman alerted others who quickly sprung into action. The bag containing $1 million in cash was retrieved and the man was beaten by citizens until the police came to his rescue.
I must say commendation to the citizens on the part of following the robbers, but we would have preferred for them not to inflict blows on him, thereby injuring him. He was taken into the hospital where he was treated and released into police custody. He will be charged for larceny from the person.
The robber is said to be of a Kingston address. Head of the Portland Police Division, Superintendent Dwayne Wellington, is warning persons outside the parish to be careful where they choose to commit crimes.
Portland is not a place for you to come and rob. We do not entertain criminals, so if you come here, you'll be caught, just like how this man was caught yesterday, with the assistance of the citizens. It is not, I repeat, a place for outsiders who intend to rob, kill, or destroy.
In the meantime, he's appealing to the business community to stop doing lodgements independently.
You can either get the services of a security company or the police can do it for you for free. It doesn't come with a charge. All it comes with is just a proper timing as to when that lodgement will be made. We will make the necessary security arrangement for the lodgement to be done in a safe and peaceful environment.
Codian Barrett, TVJ News.
The COVAX vaccine sharing plan says it is seeking to bolster its supply of COVID-19 vaccines for poor countries from new manufacturers. This as it aims to mitigate supply problems of the AstraZeneca shot from India. The global program says while it is hoping to restart deliveries of doses from India's Serum Institute to COVAX participating countries as soon as possible, it is also looking for additional potential supplies. COVAX's rollout of vaccines has been disrupted by supply and production holdups of the AstraZeneca shot and aggravated by a temporary hold on exports of the Serum Institute-made version of the vaccine as India battles to contain surging infections. COVAX anticipates announcing new deals for vaccines and vaccine candidates, but has given no further details of when and with which manufacturers such deals would be agreed. Jamaica's COVID-19 case count has increased to 44,642. 140 cases were confirmed Thursday from 839 samples. The Ministry of Health says the positivity rate is now 15.1%. Meanwhile, a 78-year-old woman from St. James is the latest to die from COVID-19 in Jamaica. This has increased the death toll to 752. The Ministry of Health is investigating 2 more deaths. The number of persons hospitalized with the respiratory illness has increased by 3 to 272. 27 are in critical condition. And that should be a correction of 104 new COVID-19 cases. Managing Director of IGL, Peter Graham, says adequate supplies of medical oxygen are now available for all major hospitals to deal with the demands created by the COVID-19 pandemic. The country last month experienced a major shortage of the essential public health commodity. Mr. Graham says there has been a significant improvement since IGL increased output, did work at hospitals so they could receive bulk oxygen, and established relations with external partners.
We are now back to the point, having stabilized the system, that at this point, all major hospitals, as we speak today, have as high as a week, some a week and a half of oxygen inventory on site. So it's not only confined, additional work, piping work. We are very sure with some hospitals to ensure that some piping that were unable to deliver specific pressures to a specific ward were all upgraded. So it's an ongoing process, and this will be to the benefit of the hospitals well beyond the pandemic.
And it's now time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. We'll have much more when we return. Welcome back. We're continuing the news. At least one stakeholder is encouraging exporters to take advantage of a market opportunity in the United Kingdom for local mangoes like Julie and East Indian. CEO at Carita Limited, Rita Hilton, says the demand in the UK for the produce is high. Sandy Williams reports.
Freshly picked mangoes packed in 20,000 boxes and ready to go. They are destined for the United Kingdom. This latest shipment is the second since the start of the month. The first was on April 1. 3,000 boxes were shipped then. Despite the increased number of mangoes shipped to the UK on Thursday, Chief Executive Officer at Carita Limited, Rita Hilton, says it's still not enough to meet the demand. She says there is a huge market for Jamaican mangoes in the UK, and so she is imploring investors to take advantage.
What I'm trying to do is to encourage investors to start planting orchards of Julie, Bombay, and East Indian. The market demand is so great, and I think the returns would be tremendous.
In 2014, Jamaica voluntarily suspended mango exports to the UK because of a spike in detentions due to pest contamination. However, it resumed in 2016 under the mango irradiation program.
This is a critical part of the exportation process led by our plant quarantine team, We do detailed inspections, random samples of every shipment to ensure that there are no fruit flies being sent abroad. Plant Quarantine has really worked with our mango growers to reduce the incidence of fruit flies right across the country, and we've designated specific areas where we're working with our mango growers, and now we're seeing those rewards today.
I'm really, really excited that this market has opened up without having to go through the hot water treatment process, which should be on stream for next year. But if the UK market is open, we don't need to do that, but it's still under consideration. So I'm really excited. I think that that market has been without mangoes for too long.
Agriculture Minister Floyd Green says more exports are underway, including for the United States.
It's just the start of the mango season, so we expect a lot more on the horizon. We do have U.S. exports coming very shortly, and this is part of our drive to really take Jamaica to the world.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
Vendors in Negril are again calling for the establishment of a produce market in the tourist town. The establishment of the facility has been on the table for at least 20 years. Javon Keys has this follow-up.
The call for a market in the tourist town of Negril has been made over the years, and the vendors in the town say they are tired of waiting.
We have nowhere, the water coming down. We are wetting up. We are here over 5 months. We have to pay $4,000 per month for the people's place. Mr. Mackenzie, we call on you to make a market.
As Jones said, others lamented that when it rains, it pours.
And me use chop in sometime I can't, but me take and back up my foot them. Wet up. Water wash from there, so wash round there, so here so coming like a pan when the rain fall.
Calls for the facility have intensified in the last 16 years, with promises across various administrations. Former president of the Negril Chamber of Commerce, Daniel Grizzle, says in 2018, the chamber presented a design for the market. He says after much back and forth, a sketch was finalized.
We said, fine, tell us what the amount. The chamber will do it because we want to get this program up and going. Anyhow, finally, I understand recently that the soil testing has been done, and they will be coming down anytime now to do a final evaluation of the site.
Chairman of the Westmoreland Municipal Corporation, Bertel Moore, says they are now awaiting the blueprint from the local government ministry, in addition to a soil test.
I know the minister was very, very much interested in having a market in Negril. So we just have to wait, get the soil test done, pay for the soil test. When we get the result from that, then the ministry may go ahead to start construction. But I cannot tell you when construction will start. I cannot tell you how much money it will take, and I can't tell you when it will be completed.
We wrote to the local government ministry to get an update on the project, but we are yet to receive a response. Javon Keys, TVJ News.
In news overseas, the future of Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine is in the hands of the CDC advisors today. A panel is set to meet and likely vote on updated recommendations for the use of the one-dose vaccine in the U.S. More from the CNN.
For the past 10 days, a pause on the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine.
If they call a pause for such a rare event, you can be sure that they take safety very, very seriously.
The Johnson & Johnson vaccine put on hold after reports of 6 out of about 7 million Americans who received the one-dose shot developed rare blood clots in the brain. On Friday, a CDC panel will hear about at least one additional case reported before likely voting on updated recommendations for the future of the vaccine in the U.S.
There is a possible link
In Europe, the J&J vaccine is back in use after a pause for similar concerns there, but with a warning about risks and what to look out for. The European Medicines Agency saying the vaccine's benefits outweigh the very rare risk of blood clots.
I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with something similar to that.
The U.S. now at a tipping point with vaccine supply set to outpace demand as officials in some areas of the U.S. struggle to fill appointments due in part to vaccine hesitancy.
And all the polls would say that a lot of those folks are still not sure that they want to take part in this amazing opportunity to put this virus behind us.
For those who are vaccinated, the CDC also considering loosening its outdoor mask recommendations.
In sports, Swindon Town's defensive midfielder Anthony Grant has confirmed with TVJ Sports that he has started the process to apply for a Jamaican passport. The 33-year-old Grant, who was born in England to Jamaican parents, spoke to agents of the Jamaica Football Federation recently over his availability ahead of the Gold Cup and the World Cup qualifiers. Now speaking to TVJ Sports this week, Grant gave an update on how the process is going.
Today, so hopefully, my mum says she's going to sort it, so because we had a game tonight, so hopefully I'm going to speak to my agent tomorrow and then go from there as well, see if we can speed it up.
Who reacted to the interest that the JFF has shown in him over a potential call-up to the squad in the summer.
Oh yeah, I'm over the moon to hopefully get an opportunity, and I'm really buzzing. And if it comes across that it happens, then you'll see the best of me and you won't regret it.
Grant is the second player after Nathan Redmond in the last 2 weeks to start the process of applying for Jamaican citizenship and a passport. It's understood with Newcastle United's Isaac Hayden's long-term injury that Grant would be the understudy until Hayden recovers from injury. And that's where we end things on the Midday News today here on TVJ. Please join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.